Hey bees, I'm Marie from Humblebee and Me, and today we are making my Winterlight Argan Serum. This is a serum that is designed to sort of double as a bit of a brightener and also as a bit of a primer. So you can pop your makeup on over top of it. So I am wearing it underneath my makeup right now and absolutely love how my makeup applies over top of this serum. You'll see me popping the serum on at like the end of this talking part so you can kind of see how we go from, bare skin to serum and then end up here. But the version we'll be making today is a little bit tweaked from the version on my blog, because that one's a couple years old and I just cannot leave good well enough alone. The oil blend that forms the vast majority of this serum is a mixture of argan oil, evening primrose oil, and mango butter. Mango butter is solid, while argan oil and evening primrose oil are liquid. So the mango butters helps give the mixture a little bit of viscosity, which helps keep the powders that we're adding in suspension, which makes them easier to apply. Argan oil and evening primrose oil are easily my two favorite oils to put on my face. Argan oil is rich in vitamin E, and I found that it has just really helped my complexion improve a lot over the years. It's fantastic for boosting healing and for keeping my skin soft, and just, this stuff is great. And then evening primrose oil is rich in linoleic and gamma-linoleic acids, and studies have shown that troublesome skin, so like acne-prone skin or eczema-prone skin, is often deficient in those two fatty acids. So I have personally found that supplementing my topical skincare with evening primrose oil has helped my complexion immensely. So whenever I make a serum, evening primrose oil is probably going to be in the ingredients list. The brightening and priming parts of the serum come from two powders. The brightening part is titanium dioxide, which is a bright white powder. Used in higher concentrations, it contributes opacity to a lot of our concoctions and cosmetics, but here we're using it in quite a low concentration, so we'll get just a bit of brightening, just a little bit more white for your complexion. The other powder we're using is Silica microspheres. So Silica microspheres are really, really, really neat, and I absolutely love them. They give products fantastic slip, and because they're highly absorbent, when you add them to oil-based concoctions, when you apply them to your skin, they dry to this lovely powdery finish that is stunning. It feels fantastic, and it's also kind of a surprise for a lot of people in homemade cosmetics and homemade skincare. So I love that. It's this wonderful luxy feel that's just fantastic. If you don't have Silica microspheres, you can use Sericite mica instead. So both Sericite mica and Silica microspheres help improve the appearance of your skin by diffusing light around your skin, which is basically an optical illusion. That diffused light creates just a soft blur around the surface of your skin that helps disguise fine lines and pores, but without actually covering your skin. So it's a fantastic real-life airbrushing effect. Unfortunately, the Sericite mica doesn't have that same dry touch finish to it that the Silica microspheres do, but that's really not a must. I really, really liked this serum when I made it the first time with the Sericite mica instead of the Silica microspheres. So if that's what you've got, don't feel the need to go out and buy some Silica microspheres, even though they are awesome. And if you like making homemade cosmetics, you should have them. But yeah, you can totally make it without them. So let's take a look at how this Winterlight Argan Serum works on the skin and how it looks when you apply it. So here we are. First things first, you're going to want to give this a shake. All the powders in there are not going to stay suspended for that long. So if you're only applying this like once a day, you'll definitely need to give it a shake before you use it. So you can see here, it is quite milky. I'm going to grab a dropper full of it here. Put some in my palm. Usually I would just drop this straight on my face, but that usually results in some drooling, which is not the greatest presentation for a video. Just going to pick some up here and start to work that into the skin. And it does not smell very evening primrosey, which is great because evening primrose oil, for all the wonderful things about it, smell is not one of them, really. So you can see that's a pretty subtle effect, so I'm going to do a little bit more. So my skin feels like lovely and soft, but I can definitely feel that silica starting to kick in. We're starting to get a nice dry finish, which I really like. That dry finish honestly makes this actually a very good primer for wearing under your makeup as well. All right, so there you can see it's pretty subtle, but it feels awesome. It will do really, really well underneath your makeup. And you can also just sort of course, go out like this. And it's also not so strong that, you know, if you wanted to wear this before you went to bed or anything, that you'd feel like it was more makeup. Like it really is more of a serum than a makeup, so you don't have to treat it like makeup and feel like you have to wash your face before you go to bed. But yeah, there you go. Once you have your ingredients, this honestly couldn't be easier to make. We'll melt the mango butter into our liquid oils and then whisk in our powders, and that's pretty much it. There's a little bit of fiddling as you test to see just how much Sericite, mica, or silica microspheres and titanium dioxide you want to use, but that's pretty simple, and I'll walk you through that. So come on, let's get started. We'll start off by weighing 2 grams of mango butter into a small dish. So we're using the mango butter to help thicken up this serum so that the powdered ingredients we add stay suspended. And I chose mango butter because it has a very low rating on the comedogenic scale, which means that it doesn't clog pores, which is something we definitely want when we're dealing with something we are putting on our face. It also has a really, really lovely dry finish to it, so it doesn't feel heavy on the skin. If you don't have mango butter, you can use shea butter instead, but shea butter has a much heavier feel, which you might actually prefer. All right, close enough. Set that aside. Tare the scale, and then we're going to add 5 grams of each argan oil and evening primrose oil. So the original recipe uses just argan oil, and if you want to do that, that is totally okay, but I have since fallen in love with evening primrose oil and try to include it in pretty much everything. Now to melt all of that together, we're just going to do a simple water bath where I've got a wee dish here that I tested beforehand to make sure this one would sit nicely over, and I've put some just boiled water in there. And so we will let that melt the mango butter. Now it's time to start adding our powdered additions. So we're going to be adding some titanium dioxide, and you want to use the oil dispersible stuff rather than the water dispersible stuff, and some silica microspheres. So in the original recipe, I used Sericite mica, but in this one, I'm trying silica microspheres as they are new to me since the original recipe was published, and I love the dry finish that they give. They also give the sort of the blurring effect that Sericite mica does, so they're sort of extra awesome, a slight dry touch that I really like, and that blurring. If you only have Sericite mica, feel free to use that instead. So we'll be using some tiny measuring spoons to measure in our ingredients. So we'll start with the titanium dioxide. Now, the amount of titanium dioxide that you will use will be highly dependent on your complexion. What might be much too much for me might be not nearly enough for you, or vice versa. So I'm going to start with my 32nd of a teaspoon here, and I'll start with 2. Last time I used 5, so we'll see how that goes. I know it is not quite as deep in the winter as it was when I originally made this, so I probably have a bit more color in my complexion. I think I'll do a little bit more. All right, I quite like that. So now we can move on to adding the silica microspheres. So I'll be working with a 1/16 teaspoon for these bad boys. So I'm going to test this for feel, more so than effect at this point in time on my hand. I'm looking to see how quickly it comes down to a dry, powdery feel. Okay, I'd like one more, but I think that will be perfect. If you have quite dry skin, I would recommend stopping here at the 1/8 mark, and otherwise you can proceed onwards from there. Silica does absorb oil, and so that dry finish can also lead to it being a little bit drier on your skin, which I like with evening primrose oil because it is quite heavy, but if you already have quite dry skin, it might not be the greatest choice for you, and you might even want to stick with the Sericite microspheres, or sorry, with Sericite mica instead of the Silica microspheres. Oh yeah, no, that feels fantastic. All right. Now we are ready to move it into our bottle. So I have a little 15 milliliter bottle there, and I have a funnel, and I have a stack of assorted things to rest the funnel on so that I can focus on pouring without having it tip over. Finish with a dropper top, and you're done. And there you go, you just made a Winterlight Argan Primrose Serum. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and check the description box below for the full written recipe with amounts in both metric and imperial, and for the link to my blog where you'll find the full written recipe plus links to all of the ingredients and the equipment I used in this recipe. See you next time!